All right, if you'll remember to keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Marisol Morales.
All right, you may proceed.
Good morning, Ms. Morales. Can you state your occupation for the court today?
I am a licensed master social worker for the Public Defender's Office.
And I'm so sorry, if you could not turn towards her when you speak, it's just so the court reporter can hear. Thank you.
And Ms. Morales, how long have you been with the Public Defender's Office?
Approximately 8 years.
And what do you do for the office?
I meet with our felony clients to do assessment.
Do you have any background in the work that you do in your licensures?
Yes, I'm like stated, I'm a licensed master social worker with a specialty in mental health and substance use. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. I have a certification as a trauma professional. I've completed approximately 3,000 hours of clinical supervision with mental health diagnosing and assessing. I've worked in the mental health and substance use field for approximately 27 years.
And have you worked with clients on these type of charges before?
I've provided expert testimony in 17 felony cases.
Has that been here with Bexar County?
Yes, ma'am.
In other counties?
No.
Ms. Morales, is this a copy of your resume?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm tendering a copy to the court and to prosecution defense exhibit A copy of Ms. Morales's CV.
Any objections to the court reviewing the CD? No. All right, then defense exhibit A will be admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, due to Ms. Morales's education, licensure, and over 27 years of experience in the fields of mental health, trauma, and substance use, we'd like to offer her as an expert in social work.
All right, any objection? No. All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Morales, are you familiar with the case today?
I am.
How did you get started with it?
It was deferred to me by the attorney for the case.
Do you create any logs when you review information?
I do. I prepare notes or take notes, yes, when I'm meeting with an individual.
And so you're familiar with Mr. Alex Avila, correct?
Very, yes.
What did those meetings look like?
We met over the course of the summer, approximately 3 months. I spent about 20 hours with him interviewing, assessing his life history.
Is that your normal routine with felony clients?
Yes, with any client.
And how long are these meetings?
Anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
Are they in person? Are they over video?
It's a mixture of video and.
So you completed an assessment for Mr. Avila.
I did.
How many times do you recall meeting with Mr. Avila?
Probably about 10 times.
And during those meetings, what do you talk about?
We go over his background, childhood, education, family history, starting at the beginning, any trauma that the person may have experienced, just an overall picture of who the person is.
Okay. Do you remember preparing it for Mr. Avila?
Yes.
I'm showing a copy of the assessment to Ms. Morales, tendering a copy to the court.
Any objection?
And also to the state.
I would object just to it being admitted because she can ask questions about like the work that she did, but as far as
All right, the objection will be sustained.
Ms. Morales, you spoke with, Mr. Avila, correct? And what was his background that you?
Very, born and raised in Mexico, parents married, most of his education was in Mexico. Nothing stood out that he reported, any traumatic events as far as any physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. They arrived here in the United States when he was about 16 years old and enrolled in the San Antonio School District.
Did you review any mental health assessments with him?
Did I review any? No,
No, okay.
there were none available.
What about substance use?
We did review his substance use history and he did not meet the criteria for any diagnosis.
I'm gonna move on to different considerations you make when you're meeting with clients. What are the ones that you take into account?
Well, when I'm doing an overall assessment for somebody, it's not just looking at their whole life development, what's happened, how did we get here, but I also look at mental health, anything that may have impacted that, anything that may have impacted normal human development. I also conduct assessments for risk.
Are there different type of factors that you take into consideration?
For any risk assessment, whether it's himself or anyone in the court system, we take a look at factors such as the criminal history, the age of the offense, whether any substance use or mental health were factors that played into how they got today, their marital status, their education level, their work history, whether they show any disposition to criminal orientation, several factors.
And let's start with the first type, static factors. What do those include?
The static factors are things that do not change in the person's life, which typically is the criminal history, the age of the offense, their whether their parents were married, just things that are kind of black and white.
And what did you find for Mr. Avila?
This is his first criminal offense. That was a big factor that impacted his eventual risk level.
And how old was he at the time of the offense?
He was 17.
And does that have any effect on your evaluation?
Well, it's a big consideration when we're talking about risk and how we got here. That's the purpose of my assessment, is just to give context on what happened. And for Mr. Avila, he was 17 at the time of the offense. And as we know, particularly this court, that 17-year-olds don't exactly have always great decision making. At that age, their brains are still developing. Their prefrontal cortex, which is kind of where we have our decision making and our impulse control, is not fully developed. And that was one of the factors that I took a look at with Alex.
Does anyone else in his family have any history of criminality that you know of?
No. And I did speak with both parents, and there was no criminal history reported on minors.
What about early behavioral problems?
No, Alex actually was a pretty typical average adolescent. Up until this offense, he was basically going to school, very involved with soccer. There was nothing really outstanding happening in his life prior to something.
You mentioned you reviewed and spoke with him different school records. What did school look like for him based on what you talked about with him and what you reviewed?
Well, they got here when he was about 16. Usually when individuals arrive here when they're younger, it's very much easier to assimilate. They pick up language quicker. Their skills, they're a little bit more like sponges, but the little bit older that you get, it becomes a little more difficult. but in reviewing his records, he actually was an average student without B and C. No disciplinary or attendance issues.
What about the dynamic risk factors? What are those?
So the dynamic risk factors are things that can speed in a person's life. That's where we look at mental health, substance use, their peers, their attitudes towards crime, those things that can fluctuate throughout a person's life course.
And what did you find from Mr. Avila?
Well, one of the things that I take a look at is the behavioral history. And because as we get older, there are individuals who can display pro-criminal attitudes, and that's not something that I found with Alex. And spending time with him and talking to his family, looking over the school records, he does not display antisocial personality traits at all. He generally thinks more of school, pretty okay, and substance use, or mental health that was impacting.
I want to talk more about the impact of him as a young adult. What did you find when looking into the case in terms of the implication of incarceration?
Well, the time of the offense, Alex was 17. Now he is 18. And unfortunately, what the research tells us is that individuals who are in that young adult age group are at much higher risk of victimization in the prison system, especially for first-time offenders, that more at risk for physical and sexual assaults. There was a study, 2013, I believe, by the Bureau of Statistics that ranked Texas as one of the highest reporters of violence against individuals between the ages of 18 and 2020.
And so how does that involve Mr. Abbey?
Well, it places him at high risk. Absolutely. He would be facing significant challenges due to his age, putting him at risk with older, more experienced individuals who are in the system, and that can lead to more issues that come up later on in his life.
In your overall expert opinion after meeting with Alex and conducting all of your research, how would you describe to the court Alex overall?
I would place him probably at lower end of being a risk to the community. That's one of the factors that I do take a look at. I understand the nature of the offense of the individual. I understand what has happened, but for Alex, he's got a lot of protective factors that help mitigate those risk factors that he may have. He does have a supportive family. He was going to school. He's single. He doesn't have any children. And I think that would place him at the lower end of being a future risk to the community.
Ms. Morales, did you have a chance to review the pre-sentence investigation report?
I did.
Was there anything you disagreed with within the report?
Maybe not necessarily disagree. I just have a very different perspective because I was able to spend a significant amount of time with Alex, and that would be, I think, the assessor for the PSI put a pre-contemplation contemplation stage, and that would mean that maybe he's not ready to accept what he's coming up against. I would probably place him in the preparation, which is he has expressed a lot of remorse for what has happened. He fully acknowledges and takes responsibility, and I think those are very important factors. We're looking at whether somebody will intend to committing crime.
Is there any difference if a youth takes accountability early on versus not taking any accountability at all?
No, like I said, it makes a huge difference. That's actually one of the factors that we also look at when assessing risk.
No further questions, Your Honor. We pass the witness.
All right, state.
You stated that you're familiar with Mr. Abijah, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, you became familiar with him interviewing with him 8 times in the months of May and August. Is that fair to say? Yes. Okay. And so in your assessment of him, you stated it's your testimony that you place him off of low risk. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so what like metric are you using to determine whether he's a risk to the community?
It would be similar to what probation, their TRAS system, uses, looking at the static and dynamic factors. And I did list some looking at antisocial attitudes, antisocial fears, personality patterns, history of antisocial behavior, marital factors, in education, employment, pro-social, leisure activities, criminal history, age of offense, family history. It's similar to what probation uses.
Okay. And so regarding the criminal history aspect of it, you stated that this was his first criminal offense. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you're factoring in your assessment, you're aware that he's here for 3 separate aggravated robberies.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so when you're doing your assessment, you just count that as one criminal transaction, or do you factor it in as 3 separate offenses?
3.
Okay. And so it's still your belief that this involvement in 3 aggravated robberies, you believe that he's a low risk to community?
Yes, because I'm not just looking at the offenses. There are other factors that you have to look at in order to make a complete assessment of what their risk is. So although the criminal offenses are a factor, it's not the only thing that we have to take into account.
Okay. And so something else that you take into account is the support that he has surrounding him. Is that correct? And that's something that's been unchanged since before and after the offense, correct?
The individuals that are supporting him, no, that has not changed.
Okay, because his parents have been married, correct?
Correct.
He has siblings, correct?
Correct.
They all came to the United States together, correct?
Correct.
They were all living together at the time of this offense, correct?
Correct.
And so how do you factor that into what's going to change between before when he had this support system and chose to commit the crimes and then now?
Well, one of the things that did change in their family makeup was that when they were living in Mexico, mom was a stay-at-home mom and father was the main provider for the household. And that changed when they came to the United States, where both parents had to work. And when we talk about support, it's love and encouragement, but the way the house was running did significantly change from what Alex had been raised with up until the age of 16.
Okay, so it's your opinion that that factors into his choice to go commit 3 aggravated robberies?
Based on everything that I know, yes, that is a factor that I also consider.
Okay, and is the mother still currently working?
I do not believe so.
Okay, yeah, but either way, I mean, based on your report, one of Alex's siblings has some health issues, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so mother and possibly father got up work, they're pretty busy taking the sibling to different doctor's appointments, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so there's a lot of time periods possibly that if this court were to grant him probation, that he would be alone and possibly falling back to the wrong crowd, correct?
My understanding and in speaking with the family, that dynamic is going to change. That's why it's a dynamic factor. It's things that can fluctuate up and down. And the family has renewed a commitment to do things differently and sort of evaluate the importance of certain things in their life. And one of the things that they have chosen to do as parents is to become more involved and make the necessary changes to provide a supportive environment for Alex.
Okay, but there's still possibility, right, that he would be by himself while the mother is taking the other child to health appointments, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that there's significant challenges in prison. Okay, one could say that there's also significant challenges in the Bexar County Jail, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but Mr. Oculus seemed to get along fine at the Bexar County Jail, right?
He has been the victim of some physical assaults in the jail.
Have these been reported?
No, and that's really not unusual. If you tell in jail, bad things can happen to you.
But he's made some friends in jail, right? Even an inmate got chose to write a letter on his behalf, correct?
Yes, he has found some peers in the jail.
We possibly.
Just a few clarification and follow-up.
Yes.
Ms. Morales, when you're conducting your evaluations and assessments, family is one part of it or all of it?
No, it's one part.
And so when you're sitting down with parents and you're talking with Alex, what are the type of things that you talk about, and what changes do you see?
Well, we discussed the current situation, what their thoughts and feelings are, what they would do different. That's always kind of a difficult topic to talk to parents about. Obviously, no parent wants this for their child. But Alex's parents have done some thinking, evaluating what did they do, what could they have done differently. And I think that based on my conversations with them, that it's kind of, it's been their come to Jesus moment, if I may say, realizing that some mistakes were made and the things that they want to do differently.
I know the state asked you a couple of questions about Alex being by himself. Are there any significant risks in any of your assessments when it comes to him maybe being at home with his siblings by himself?
As far as, I'm sorry.
As far as how behaviors or patterns or anything like that when you review the assessments?
Well, obviously, no one is going to be under 24-hour surveillance in their home. So yes, there will be moments that Alex will be by himself or alone with his siblings. And that's where the importance of level of supervision, the engagement with his probation officer or whoever the supervising person is, that's going to be very important. Also, going back to school, doing that full time. He didn't have any disciplinary when he was attending school. And he has really verbalized his understanding of the importance of education if he's to turn things around.
So being on probation would actually help Alex in this instance.
For Alex, yes. There are classes that he would be required to take, reporting requirements, obviously probably UAs that he would have to take. He would be on a more rigid schedule, and also being more around, his parents have committed to being more responsive to any issues that they may see.
Further questions, Your Honor?
Any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
Defense rests.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Any objections? So are you aware that in the stipulations, it says that at the jail, he was using another inmate's PIN number to make phone calls? Elaborate.
So Alex is kind of caught in between the adult but not really adult stage of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unusual that peers, people his age, may have a bigger impact at this point. The good thing is that changing can think, that thinking can change. He can learn new skills, his brain little prefrontal cortex and the amygdala will be making those connections as he gets older, which will lessen the impulsivity and give him more emotional regulation and making good decisions.
All right, thank you so much.
Maybe excuse me.
Yes. All right, you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor, defense rests.
Jack. So I've previously spoken with Ms. Castillo, and there are some letters that I'm not objecting to her offering.